This
is Storyboards. Welcome back to Storyboards, my friends.
Yeah.
We are reaching the 3 most exciting podcasts for us, at least for me. I don't know about you.
I'm pretty excited.
I'm really excited. This is episode 9, which means we're one away from the 10, the tenor, the quintenter. I don't know.
The decahedron-esque.
Yeah. The Decapod.
Whoa. Yeah, we definitely didn't come up with that name before.
No, not at all. And we're not just implementing it now for no reason. Anyway.
I'm excited for the Decapod because the Decapod is going to be 2 episodes.
Yes. You're going to get a twofer for episode 10. So 2-parter. Which means it's going to be 1 episode is going to be based on Eternity Found, and the next episode is going to be based on Castaways.
So technically it's episode 10 and 11.
But no, it's Decapod 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Part 1 and Part 2. And then we'll have Decapod the sequel when episode 20 comes around.
Which is also known as 10-2.
10-2. Storyboards 10-2. We're doing this Final Fantasy style.
Sorry, no. This is Storyboard X.
Oh,
this one we're coming up
sorry, X2.
Mm-hmm.
So on the Decapod, we're going to give you 2 dedicated episodes to just the story. We're not going to do any discussing other than a few little tidbits from the author here and there. But it's going to be all of the readings from the previous episodes up to that point, an exclusive new story tacked on the end.
Yep, so be sure to tune into that, especially all you people that just love the story part.
Mm-hmm.
That's all this is story.
And we know you're there.
We're watching you.
Mom. Anyway.
She probably won't ever hear that.
She probably won't. Well, she'll be very disappointed by this episode because it predates the big chunks of story you'll be getting. So we're going to let this be a nice, smooth talker for you guys.
I'm a smooth talker. Talk my way out of any situation. My charisma roll's that good.
He's a smooth talker.
Not a smooth criminal,
though. No. So,
knocking over dice. Yeah, you failed that bluff check, too.
He rolled a d20 and rolled a 2 and then rolled a 20, not meaning to.
Yep.
All right.
I always roll 20s when I'm not meaning to.
So, this episode's going to be more about us and you and us and our relation between you and us and each other and the world and us and I think you get that picture.
We are the world.
We are the world.
We are the children.
Anyway, we're 2 nerdy, fun individuals who love to come up with stories, to banter, and to create witticisms, as you guys can tell. Witticisms.
Well, I mean, we've known each other for, 10 years now?
Maybe more than that.
Oh, yeah, it is more. It's
been about 13.
Holy cow.
13 years.
And it's felt that long.
It has been. Maybe too long.
Yeah. So this podcast, we're actually going to be ending our friendship.
Yep. We're going to end it on a death match.
Yes. I'll win.
Uh-huh. Right. I got a wrench.
I got wits and determination.
All right. Use those wits.
Throw my glasses.
Oh, no! Yeah, we've been friends for 13 years. It goes back to high school for me, but...
I was in 9th grade, so
Yeah,
so
so-
high school.
High school. It's a little bit different here in Cache Valley, at least where we were.
No, wait, I meant you were in 9th. I was in 8th.
Was it?
Because it was the summer between my 8th and 9th grade year
And it was the summer
that I
between my ninth and...
started
Yeah.
marching band.
Yeah. So I was headed into high school, and he was staying in the 8th, 9th center.
Yes, because we're weird like that over here.
Yeah. So we had a high school and a junior high, I guess, is what you would
Mhm.
equate it to. It's not like it now. It's changed in the last decade, but hey, you know.
We're old folks over here in a different way of doing things.
Yeah, the valley's getting super populated super quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Businesses are flourishing and folks are flooding in.
Folks are flooding in. Wow, you showed our country heritage.
So I originate from the valley.
So do I.
Yeah, we both do. I was born here, even though my family hasn't lived here the entire time. Yeah, it's a long story with my family, but I'm the youngest of 7 people, siblings, and lived out in Mendon, went to Mountain Crest.
I say mountain.
Oh, well, you're just different.
Thank you.
I went to Mountain Crest, and
Hey, you said it right.
yes, I did. And first year there, I did marching band, and that's where I met my friend here, Zach.
Yep. I lived in Hiram. Grew up in Hiram. And I did marching band at Mountain Crest. Wow, I almost said it wrong because you've been saying it that way. Yeah, it was pretty interesting how we met. We both played the saxophone.
Yes, we did.
I walked into the assembly, saw him. I said, "Hey, I'm Zach." He responded, "Hey, I'm Jameson. Do you like Dragon Ball Z?"
Yeah. Yes, our friendship started off of Dragon Ball Z.
And so we did lots of things together after that. Like we did 2 years of marching band together.
Yes.
Watched tons of Jackie Chan movies on the bus.
We got a lot of stories about bus trips for marching band.
Yes, we do.
Every competition we went to, we would bring a Jackie Chan movie because the buses had...
No, you'd bring your portable DVD
Oh,
player.
that's right. I would bring the portable DVD player with a Jackie Chan movie, and we'd watch it on the way. And also, every time we stopped for a meal,
We always stopped at the mall.
we went to a mall for the food court. You know, that's always where the bus went. We'd run in and buy a Dragon Ball Z game for the Game Boy.
Or the DS.
Or the DS. Same thing.
It did evolve to get into the DS.
It did, yeah. But that was our thing. Every time we got a Dragon Ball Z game.
We would sometimes forego eating to get a Dragon Ball Z game.
Yes, we did. Sorry, Mom. That's where all your money went.
Hey, she won't hear this.
She won't. If she does, she's going to give me a talking to, I'm sure. Watch, this will be the one she actually listens clear through.
That'd be funny.
That'd be hilarious.
Hey, I used my money on those games too.
It's true. It was a combined effort.
And so not all the money went to those games.
Mm-hmm. But it was a lot of fun.
It was. It was a good time. After 2 years, you stopped marching band
Yep.
and completely ended our friendship. We didn't do anything together after that.
No, nothing at all. Nothing. Nada. Zero.
No, we didn't hang out all the time.
Nope.
Friendship just ended.
Yep. Completely kaput. No, as close as we gotten, there's no way you can just toss out that kind of a friendship.
But right around that time, was when we started doing lots of projects together. We and pretty much all of these projects failed.
Yeah. We've been attempting a lot of things for a long time. We were inspired by Rhett and Link and classic YouTube duos that started up on YouTube, and we attempted at a few things of trying to get big on one of those. And
well, and even way before that, we were like, oh, we really like League of Legends.
Let's do a voice project for that. Let's do it. Yeah.
And then, what was it? It was Crafter of Laughs, I think was his name. Failed on us.
Yeah, of course you get that stereotypical, this, less experienced creator has this project idea who gets a whole bunch of people involved and then freaks out and then leaves and
after calling me Tejonde.
Tejon. Yeah, apparently Zach sounded like Chocolate Rain. I don't know.
Chocolate Rain. I move my mouth away from the mic when I breathe.
Yeah, that was...
So, I mean, we did... Let's see. During that time, so we tried that project. You began writing a story, or continuing to write a story that you were doing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I started a lot of my compositions, musical compositions.
Mm-hmm.
We watched a ton of Doctor Who.
Yes, we did. That's right around the time we started getting, at least I started getting into Doctor Who, because I had never heard of it before.
I'd watched it.
Yeah, it was like my senior year. Some kid wore a Halloween costume of Doctor Who, and I saw him. I was like, "You're just in a suit, and you got a fez on your head." Or it wasn't a fez at the time, because
it was still in the David Tennant era when you got in.
So he was just wearing a suit, and I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, it's a thing. You wouldn't know it. You have to get into it." And he had this weird screwdriver thing. I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." And then I finally watched it, and I thoroughly got sucked in.
Yeah. You would make me watch episodes I'd already seen many times before, because you were going through your first time.
Yeah, that's the thing is, this is the difference between me and my wife. My wife will go and look at episodes beforehand and see if she'll like them. Like, she'll watch the endings, and then go back and watch the ones she thinks she'll enjoy, and she'll avoid the ones that she won't. Whereas I'm like, if I start this series, I have to go from the beginning and go straight all the way through, good and bad, to the end.
I'm just glad you started modern Doctor Who from the beginning.
Yeah.
It would have been a long ride if we went all the way back to the old ones.
I didn't mind so much just to start at this because I'm not a big fan of black and white. Yeah, I've only recently started to enjoy things like the Andy Griffith Show and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm starting to get a nice soft spot for those things. But
anyways, so we continued doing just random crap together for a long time.
We never acted together, did we?
No, we have never acted together.
Well, that's the thing is, separately, we both are thespians. We've acted in plays and musicals, and
I am retired.
Retired? You're in a show right now.
No, I'm not.
You're not? You quit?
Yeah, I quit.
Aw.
So I could help out with Dean.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to be a knight?
Nope.
But
that doesn't mean it's not going to be a good show. It's going to be a great show. Everybody go see Camelot.
Camelot. If you're in the valley, it's what days?
I don't know. Some mid-October.
Mid-October. Cool. Yep. Zach is currently retired. He almost had a foray back into acting, but
no. I'm retired for the time being.
Closest thing he gets to is when he does the readings. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Zach is a natural.
No, I'm not.
One take every time. I never edit it. He just goes straight through.
Yeah, I never make any weird noises, and that definitely won't be a bonus on the end of the Decapod with all of the weird noises that I've ever made during my recordings.
Are you challenging me?
Oh, yes. You're committed now. It's on air.
I don't know if I could find all of it. I was for a while keeping all of his mess up sounds. Just the, and then or
Yeah, not to mention.
I was gonna make it one episode. Oh, just for me to enjoy every now and then of just listening to him.
It probably would be a full episode, probably an hour long of my mess ups.
I could say the same about mine, though, but I delete those immediately.
Yeah, because you have the editing power.
I delete them during the recording, so I don't get to go through and just cut them out. Yeah.
So projects and creativity have always been a massive part of our friendship. Recently, within the past 2 years, we started delving into the realm of role-playing games.
At least together, yeah.
Mhm.
And we've been playing a lot of D&D and other role-playing style games, like the Mistborn series has a dedicated role-playing style.
Right now we're in a homebrew Pokemon campaign run by Lottie Sidwell. She's awesome.
Yeah,
Does
she
a really
is.
good job.
Definitely a good job. It's
Can we
gonna
call her Professor Cherry?
Professor Cherry. Is that?
I think
I don't
that's what
know.
we call her,
I haven't
Professor
heard
Cherry.
that. Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of homebrews that we've been making just in preparation for the end of different quests and things.
We have, I think, around 7 different campaigns after this one, all with different dungeon masters, all lined up. It's going to be fun.
All based on different properties that we all love. I came up with one for the Secret of Mana series, a little-known RPG for the NES and Super NES.
Yeah, and I mean, my wife's doing Reckoners. We've got a Harry Potter one coming up. We've got a Legend of Zelda one coming up.
I could easily do an Elder Scrolls one.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be
With
a
how
lot
many
of fun.
hours you put into that game?
I could easily make an Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've just got a deep love for fantasy, any form of it. Reading it, watching it,
Listening to it,
acting it, playing it, and it's kind of deep in the core of our personalities of that's what we love.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to writing these stories, not only writing them, but the fact that we get to sit here and record for you guys to hear is a big motivator for us to keep doing it.
It's pretty cool. You guys keep us accountable.
It like that's one thing I'd have to say to any person that's creating something is, be careful the ways you share it and who you share it to, but sometimes your ideas get left behind and nobody gets to enjoy them.
Mm-hmm. I alone have, I don't know, 5, 6 different story ideas that I got a good ways into, but just abandoned because I never shared them. And it's a little sad.
Yeah.
I might go revisit them. You've got a ton too.
I've got a lot that just sit in the backlog, and yeah.
So thank you guys for hearing this, listening to it.
Mm-hmm. We love when you guys get to listen and interact and communicate with us, because it's not just us being like, here's our story. Let us force it through your ears. Listen
Shove
to
it
us.
down your ear holes.
It's, hey guys, this is us being creative, and we want to share it the only way that we really feel we can, and currently are able to, and we want you to enjoy it, and we want you to be a part of it. The whole structure of having you email in questions and suggestions and things is, we want to see your creativity with it too, because one person once told me that all ideas that could ever be thought have been thought before, which I don't personally believe, but great ideas do stem from the ideas of others.
Yep.
And sometimes we don't think of certain things that would be amazing and perfect for the stories that we have.
Well, and we want to see your own creativity with your own stories. Gonna put a plug in here. We're doing a contest right now.
Mm-hmm.
In partnership with the North Logan Library. We are doing a short story contest. So if you are currently in grades 6 through 12, and like to write or like to create, now's your chance.
Go to northlogancitylibrary.org to find out more details about how to submit, what rules to follow to write with, and you can submit your writings to staff@northloganlibrary.org. But remember, guys, the rules you have to follow, or they won't consider it.
Yep. So just go online to that website and see what it is, because spoilers, I guess, but first place gets to be featured on our podcast.
You'll be a special guest. You'll be sitting in our third seat,
which we've had here since time immemorial.
You'll get to come speak to us, tell us about your story, how you came up with it, whatever you want. As long as it's, but clean. And we'll read your story. I know some people may not like the styles that we do, but, we do this because we care. We care about the stories, and we care about your stories. And we want people to hear it. And we have done acting professionally and voicing professionally, and we're outlets for that. Outlets that we didn't really get ourselves.
Yeah, so, let us give you a head start. So, and just put yourself out there. Do this contest.
Oh, and if you don't care about being on the podcast, you do get a prize package.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Prize packages are great, too.
They're awesome. And thank you, North Logan Library and James Britch, for all that you do.
And the staff. They've been helping us out a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So
you guys are amazing. So, yeah.
So that's us. It seems sort of simple when you put it all sort of squished down like that.
It's a very rudimentary way of explaining us, but
so in order to facilitate more of this conversation, we're going to transition into our question segment. But this is going to be a different form of the question segment, since none of you knew this was coming. We're going to spend time asking each other questions, deep personal questions that we have to answer completely truthfully to.
Oh no, my whole life.
Yes. So, Jameson.
Yes.
If you had to choose any book, series-wise, whatever, whether it's fantasy genre to nonfiction, any story that you would rate as your very favorite of all time, what would it be and why?
Oh, the question of eternity. Oh man. I think of one and then another pops up to fight it. I'd have to say Lord of the Rings, including The Hobbit and The Silmarillion.
Do tell why.
So, in my mind, it came to fighting against Dragon Ball Z because the story's written, yes, but in manga form, and it's not as in-depth a story as it is a spectacle because it was made for a visual format. And then the first book I ever read and fell in love with was Merlin by T.A. Barron. The Lost Years. The Lost Years of Merlin by T.A. Barron. I love those series, and I would say those, but Lord of the Rings is the antithesis. It is the father of all fantasy
It's the Michael
in the modern
Jackson
age.
of pop.
It created the world that most people think of when they think fantasy. D&D was designed to be played in Middle-earth. All the races and everything were based off of those characters and those races and everything. It eventually took its own form and everything and had to separate so it wouldn't be legally detained by certain wordings like Hobbit. That's actually...
Halfling.
Hobbits are actually owned by the Tolkien Foundation, or the Tolkien estate, and so they have to call them halflings in every other fiction. But Lord of the Rings is just that. It's a world created by a man that carries on to this day and has people delving even deeper to create better and more stories from it. We're getting a book coming out, finally being published from J.R.R. Tolkien himself, even though he's been dead for a long time. They're going to actually release one of his last books he ever wrote, which is one of the first stories he ever thought of.
Yeah, it's Someone and Someone Else. That's the title.
Someone, no.
That is what it's like, name and name.
Yeah, but I'm excited for it to come out because it's just more of that fantasy that started it all.
Awesome. Good reason. Good reason. Your turn for a question.
All right. Zachary Shane Brown.
Yeah, that's my name.
I'm having a hard time
Was that your
asking.
question?
I'm having a hard time not asking you the same question. But yeah, I want to hear your opinion on the same topic.
You can ask me the same question, but you have to do a different question.
Yes, I will.
So, what to me is the greatest story? Oh, though that is hard. I could cheat the system and say things like, "Oh, well, the Marvel comics are the greatest story because they went on for so long." Honestly, for me right now, my favorite story is probably Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. All the Worlds have... Yes, All the Worlds a stage. I feel like All the Worlds have as good of world building as Tolkien. They each have fantastic magic systems that I personally love to nitpick. I love to get into the nitty-gritty of stories and figure out why this happens or why this works. And the Cosmere scratches that itch for me. And I learn more every time I read them. So that's probably my answer.
There you go. I've only recently begun my foray into Brandon Sanderson fandom. Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far, even though the only series I've read is the Mistborn
series.
series.
But you read all 6 books fanatically.
Well, I had them all available to me rather quickly and in audio format, so...
Yeah.
Those are the fastest I've ever gone through books.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
And they're not small books, my friends.
They're very good. I would
Very
recommend them.
So, here's my question for you. In the entire world, out of everything around you, what is it that you pull most of your inspiration from? Like, what inspires you the most to write?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Confession time?
Yeah.
I hate writing. I really dislike it. Sitting down and putting my thoughts to paper is a chore for me. I do it for the story. So what inspires me most to write? Honestly, the podcast. The feeling that there are some people that want to hear my story makes it so I'm able to sit down and write it. So there's my greatest influence.
Wow, we created it. And it was with your help.
Yeah, only with your help. How about you, Jameson? Greatest influence?
for me, the greatest influence about writing is basically, I don't know, I feel like a usurper of people's ideas and thoughts, and because I find it so unique when you watch a show or you read something and you're like, that's an interesting thought. That's an interesting way of going about doing this. Then my mind goes, how else can you do that? How else can you explain that? How can you twist that to make it just as plausible, but done in a different format?
Mm-hmm.
And so my inspiration comes from watching or reading or doing other things, but also when I go on, every now and then my family will go on an adventure and I'll see the outdoors and I'll be like, oh, this is what it's like to be out here doing this thing.
I forgot what outdoors was like.
not like that, but like, this is a lot more intense to me, like doing a rock climbing, finding the little cracks in the rock to be able to put a handhold in, trusting that your feet will lift you and not forcing your hands to hold you up. The people think about rock climbing as lifting yourself up with your hands, and you see people like Mission Impossible 1, Tom Cruise is up there with his hands only doing this free climb. No, you don't climb like that. You climb with your legs. Every now and then, if you do a hanging cliff, you have to do that to be able to swing or get momentum to go forward or back, but it's all about your legs, not your arms. But you don't think about that normally. You think, when you think a certain scenario in a book, in a writing, in a short story or anything, it's like, he climbs up the wall with vigor. And it's like, but how?
But how?
But
with vigor.
He just did it. It's like, he's not Spider-Man. He just climbed up the wall. How did he do that? Was there a crevice? Was he able to wedge his toe in somewhere that he was able to get the footing to lift up?
So the reason that you like to write is you like to figure out exactly how things happen. Yes.
That's I love the minute details that explain things. And that's why I like to think of interesting ways and funny thoughts. Like, the whole idea that started Eternity Found was, and you guys probably would know this by now.
Well, we've read the chapter about Eternity herself.
Yeah.
And with her being frozen as the cryo doll.
Yeah.
And at the end, there was the auction part.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say.
So I guess a little spoiler, you'll find it out real quick. Clarification. The idea that started Eternity Found was just me sitting there thinking about cryostasis, cryogenics, and, people always joked about how Walt Disney is frozen somewhere.
How much money would he go for?
And I'm like, what? We do have the technology to freeze people, but we don't know how to thaw them out safely. And we don't know if they're actually still alive if we thaw them out, or if we just killed them by freezing to death. It's like, but what if in the future sometime we discover, hey, we can thaw them out safely and bring them back to life. But hey, these people are so old and come from a time that's so rare now that they might actually be more valuable still frozen than they are awake. So what if we keep them in their pods and trade them as like a playing card or a toy still in its box? It's like, how much would Walt Disney go for?
A lot.
He'd be like the antithesis. He's like,
I own Walt Disney.
I own Walt Disney. This is my collection. Like, he's the pinnacle. He's like on the shelf in the middle.
Put some Mickey Mouse ears on top of his frozen pod. All right. Okay, so here's my question for you.
All right.
If you were to suddenly be transported into the future, like maybe 500, 600 years into the future, what would be the first thing you would seek out?
That's a tough question to think of, because now I'm like, I'm thinking of my nerdy side, like, oh, I'd love to see how video games have progressed, or I'd love to see how movies, like, are they interactive now? Is it more of an adventure of a, it's like, or should I look at my family, see, how many people have spawned from my siblings, like all the people I'm related to, or and it's all of those things really. It's like I'd love to see where technology would get to if we actually get holograms. We know right now we talk about it, and there's a few techniques of doing holograms, but it always involves less interactiveness. You'd have to have fog in the room, or you'd have to have mirrors and glass, or and we see movies where they're interacting with it, and I just don't feel like that's a logical thing that will happen in the near future at all. And so it's like, how will we advance technology in the way that we don't think? Because back in the flip phone era, we were just like, oh, phones are going to get big. They're going to get these really big hand phones that don't have to flip, and it'll be some, kind of screen that's, the phone is just all screen. And then eventually we got to phones started getting smaller again, and smaller and smaller, and then started getting bigger and bigger again. It's like we don't think of, like, the ways we think the future will pan out is not ever how it ever actually pans out. We think, oh, we'll have hover cars flying everywhere
in 2012.
And it's like, no, we have hoverboards, but they don't hover.
They also have a tendency to overheat.
We have cars that fly, but
they're not available.
To the public, and nobody's getting their personal flying license to take their car out for the fly. It's like we haven't successfully teleported or transported anything.
Nope.
But yeah, that'd be something I'd love to see. But of course, I think the first thing would be going and seeing how my family turned out.
Okay. So I guess we can put the stipulation of barring that.
Yeah. But if I went full nerd on you, I'd clarify so many things. Like, am I just being transported into a possible future where I had lived a life and these are my descendants? Or is this a future where I was removed and this is the occurrence?
It would be you were removed.
Yeah, okay. That's sad.
Yep.
Where's my wife?
Well, I guess in answer to my own question,
yeah,
I'd search out the cuisine.
Ooh.
I would love to see how food evolves in 500 years' time.
Pizza's been forgotten. Calzones are all they know.
Well, that's so sad. But I mean, you take a look at, just the last 100 years or so. Food has evolved.
Yes, it has.
And we've gotten so far from where we were before, just in advances with preservation, with all the GMOs. Can you imagine what a genetically modified carrot would look like 500 years in the future?
Could
you feed the world off of one carrot?
Could you predetermine the shape and design of your food before you get it?
Yeah. Would we be able to have, like, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, walk up to something? I want a burger. Boing!
There you go.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I like food.
Nice. Okay. Question. If you were to become a character in a story, was there a specific character you would be, or what kind of person in a story would you want to become?
This is a tough question. I'm going to ask you for a little more narrowing it down. What story?
Let's say in the entire Cosmere.
Oh, goodness. In the entire Cosmere, if I were to either be a character, or what type of character would I be?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd probably end up as one of the side characters that don't matter. So I assume we're going more supporting character / main cast.
Yeah.
Character. You can tell I did theater. I would probably end up being one of the the support cast that's like maybe like a cook or someone along that line that may or may not end up getting powers, but is there to help out. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'd end up being in the spotlight. I wouldn't want the spotlight. I wouldn't want all the crap that comes with being a main character in a story. I'd be very happy with my supporting character life, whether or not I have powers. Just not being caught in all the horridness that happens.
not being part of the adventure. I don't want this.
I don't want to be a Bilbo. I want to be a Bilbo when he stays at home.
No adventures in this home today.
Yeah, exactly. How about you?
So when I was a kid, one of the first stories I remember creating, was about a person that his entire life was being a courier.
So he went around and gave people curry.
No, I knew you were going to say that. No.
So are you saying to me right now that you'd be traveling?
That is actually very similar to... Did I really make Travelin off of that idea?
And Travelin was a character that Jameson played in one of my Mistborn campaigns.
He was a character that could run really, really fast, and he just delivered things. I think I did take inspiration off of that.
You must have.
I must have. So my original character I had created was a guy who rode on a white tiger mount. Like a giant white tiger. And he went from city to city, hardly ever going to the same place twice, because he was carrying letters and packages and things from place to place and getting involved in random affairs along the way. You know, I just like the idea of that guy that traveled. He had no place to call his home. He wasn't born and raised in a specific place because he wouldn't set roots down. He's just used to living on the go and living where he was, you know, and just traveling and seeing things and doing a job for, you know, his own livelihood, but also for the fact that it gives him something to do. And so I've always enjoyed that thought of a character, and I might write a story about it someday, about a character who just travels.
Okay, that would be cool. That'd be cool. So we just answered who we would want to be. Who would you end up as in a story, do you think? Now, stipulation, I want you to decide that for me, and I will decide it for you. Since we tend to give a less objective view of the other person than we do of ourselves.
Okay. You want me to start?
Yep, you start.
All right. So, Zach, I see you in any fantasy form of medieval to pre-modern time, you know. I could see you being a tavern inn keeper or worker, the person who you would entertain guests, you'd play music, you'd...
and I'm a bard.
Yeah, you're not as much of a bard as you're an entertainer in your own business. I could see you making people feel welcome in a place by giving them room, board, food and drink, entertainment, and that would make you the top person of information and knowledge in the place because you meet everybody. But I could see you just being that person who cares and gives to everybody.
Thank you.
And
I will take that.
Especially enjoying singing to the people.
All right, Jameson. The only place I can see you in a story that I think fits you to a T is you are the epitome of an old Western deputy.
Like a spaghetti Western or like...
Any type of Western. You're not total spaghetti Western, but just in the Wild West, you would be that person who, because you don't really care for a spotlight. but you do like to have your work appreciated, and you do really like to do good work.
Yes.
And so you would be that person who is right there next to the sheriff, doing extremely dangerous things at times, but also being the one that the townsfolk could come talk to, because the sheriff's the big scary guy. You're the congenial fellow, and so you would fulfill that role. I think very essential role.
There we go.
There you go.
Thanks.
Yeah. If you need a tavern, come to old medieval times, and I'll help you out.
I could see you in the Midwest being the innkeeper. Yeah.
The great thing about innkeepers, they never change until you get to modern times, and then they become poor hotel workers.
Oh, how sad that job has gone down.
Yeah, it's gone way downhill. Nothing against you if you work at a hotel. We really appreciate people in the hospitality service.
Nothing against you, Brandon Sanderson, because we know you started your writing career while working in a hotel.
Yep. Everything against you.
Everything against you.
A pestilence upon you and your family. All right, Jameson, end us off. Last question.
All right. This is just more, about you. How are your thoughts on career wishes and dreams versus now versus when you were young?
Oh, okay. So when I was young, my first career that I wanted to be was an electrical engineer, like my dad. I went and I shadowed him at work a couple of days. I was like, hey, yeah, this is pretty cool. This is some cool stuff. And I took an intro to engineering course in high school and dropped the class first day. I hated it.
Oh.
And so I was like, well, I'll go to my second career choice, which was elementary education, being an elementary school teacher. I really love teaching and helping kids understand and learn. And I still do. I still really love teaching. But now, let's see, when I was younger, I never really thought that a creative route could be a career. I always lived by the mantra, which was also a joke. What's the difference between a musician and a family-sized pizza? Well, the pizza can feed a family. But now I find myself really wanting to foster that creative part of me to make it a career. And I'm in the process of doing so. Composing music for a video game right now, which is really cool.
And he composes the music for all of these podcasts.
Yeah, all the podcasts. And for random projects that people have me do. I compose music, which is really amazing for me. I found that my desire for teaching and things can be scratched by my itch. Scratched by my itch?
Scratched by your itch.
Yes. Scratched by my position in HR. I really love helping people and doing things that way. So from going from a pretty antisocial electrical engineering career choice to being more creative with my life and being very people focused, that's where I am now. So
regular Lin-Manuel Miranda. I don't know if I
guess.
got that name right.
Did he?
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Manuel.
Manuel. Lin-Manuel. A regular Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Regular Lin-Manuel Miranda. That's hard.
It is really hard to say. Regular
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Hey, we both got it that time.
I kind of flubbered it a little bit.
Well, I covered it up.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
When I was a kid, the first career I ever thought about becoming was a psychologist. I loved helping people and friends that were in need. I loved to comfort them and talk to them.
That's why I always feel so judged in your presence.
Yep, I'm sitting here psychoanalyzing you. No, but I never took any courses in it. I quickly learned that that's not something that I really want to have to deal with school and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And and that was gone quickly. I then went into wanting to become a writer, and I wrote a lot when I was younger, and albeit I didn't have computers to write with, I did it all handwriting, and I think those writings are still in my parents' house. But
that would be fun. Let's bring back old writings. I have one of mine almost memorized.
Nice.
5 Cats in a Tree, it was called.
Nice. Mine was about a medieval city that was under siege by mythical monsters.
Nice.
Had a guy throw a spear into a cyclops eye. Yeah.
Nice.
Dwarves
Cyclops
kidnap
are peaceful,
people.
though.
Yeah. Then I had the pleasure of learning what it's like to be edited.
Side note, thank you everyone who edits our work.
Yes.
We really, really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I may not have understood it back then. I took it as very mean and judging, but now it's very needed and completely understood. But back then I got heavily edited by a few people, and I took it very personally, and I quit writing and kind of lost what I had for thoughts on career-wise, and that threw me to go from odd job to odd job, just thinking, oh, I'll just do these manual labor jobs until I get real old, you know.
Also, another clarification. Jameson is not an odd job main in GoldenEye.
No. Even though he's short and I'm short, doesn't mean we're... So, it's only recently, in the last few years, that I gotten into voice acting, because I always wanted to be an actor, and I always knew that I'd never be able to get into it, especially with my body type and size and everything. But I always knew that, hey, there's a way that I can still act, become characters that I'm not, and enjoy it. And that was voice acting. And I never thought it was possible until recently. So
it's really cool to be able to see you in this process. You got a passion for it. And it's really cool, really inspiring.
But right now, I've only got one voice. My commercial voice.
Your young, energetic male voice.
My young, energetic male voice that'll do any project for you just for $5 for every 250 words. On Fiverr. Go look me up. Fiverr.com/JamesonSmithVO.
Shout out to you, Fiverr.com.
If you want my voice to do a commercial for you, you can check out this exclusive deal just for you on Fiverr. Anyways, enough about that commercial. But yeah, I've really been enjoying that, and I hope to delve more into it, and I keep getting the thoughts of jobs that could relate to it that would be exciting, and I keep throwing it out as ideas to friends, but I know that they won't go anywhere.
One day
we'll have disposable money to start a business.
So much money.
Anyways,
on that depressing note, thanks for listening.
and we look forward to serenading you with our sweet voices and stories on next week's episode, The Decapod.
The exclusive Decapod. Brought to you by us. As per the norm.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to sponsor us, we're open.
We will read your name.
And we'll do a commercial for whatever project that you want us to push, or product, whatever. Commercial voice, hey!
And we'll do the music for it.
Yeah, we can
fully produce a commercial.
We could. Why don't we?
We have.
We have. Oh, we have.
Uh-huh.
we have one running right now. Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Let's start a local commercial business. Not like a commercial business, but like a commercial business.
So if you know any small business owner friends,
send them our way.
Yeah, we'd love to do commercials for them.
Anyways,
leaving you with
a sound hug.
Is it my turn to whisper sweet nothing?
Yes, it is.
Oh, all right. Sweet.
Bye, guys.